NASCAR's popularity is brought up in conversation with NASCAR fans a lot more than outsiders would probably think. It's natural at this point, I think, because when you have a sport who had such a huge peak culturally, popularity-wise in general, just everything all mixing together in the 2000s and the 90s, and then you see where it is now, people will have questions and talk about it and how to get back to the good old days. And that's not to say that NASCAR isn't popular nowadays. Actually, it's more popular than many of you think. And this was further pushed by a poll from the Morning Consult on what sports were the most popular among Gen Z. And this was who would say they were an avid or casual fan of any given sport or sports league. And this is the same publication that also put out back in 2020 that NASCAR was one of the fastest growing brands with Gen Z. So how exactly did it pan out? Well, obviously the NFL is number one. It's 54%, it is king. Right below that, the NBA at 50%, before you have a bit of a space between a bit of a scrum as well from about third to ninth. Third being NCAA football, then you got the MLB, and fourth, esports coming in fifth. Sixth is college basketball, and what do you know, with 36% of Gen Z being interested in this poll, NASCAR comes in seventh. This is above the UFC, which is one of the hottest sports right now, the NHL, which has had a resurgence, and Formula One, which was previously by many thought to be just the darling of Gen Z in racing. And it's still pretty close. NASCAR's only 7% higher in this share, but still, NASCAR is king. And I think a lot of people were surprised by the fact that NASCAR is this popular. I will say I was as well. I thought it'd be probably the lowest of the top 10 or maybe that 11th or 12th place range. But NASCAR is firmly in the running for being a top 5 most popular sport with now the largest generation in America. And this is from 13 to 26 years old, so I fit right at the very top of the age gap with that. And it's only 1% behind college basketball, 3% behind esports, which plays to a younger audience easily, 5% behind the MLB, and 6% behind college football. That is something that is really interesting to see because, in my opinion, NASCAR in no way has maximized what it can do with Gen Z just yet. And with this new generation and the one that will follow after it, there also is the way that NASCAR can continue to reinvent itself. You see, NASCAR is something that is viewed as an old person sport, and I would say that that's pretty easy to see why. The fans are older, drivers, at least the popular ones that are probably retired as well at this point, are all older, and it's just a culture and car culture that is skewed towards an older audience. But it's looking like younger people are starting to get more and more into it, even if it doesn't all yet pan out. You see, in my opinion, this makes sense. NASCAR does have a low percentage of 18 to 49-year-olds in the key demo that watch every week. It's usually around 20%. During the playoffs, it can dip down to about 15%, and during the season, we saw it even go up as high as almost 30%. Still, pretty low overall when it comes to the overall viewership, but the thing about this is that NASCAR still has a very large audience. Per Cup race, about 3 million viewers will tune in every week, and the Xfinity is about 1 million, give or take. Maybe a little under, but usually it's there. So say that 20% of those 3 million for the Cup race are in this age demo or Gen Z. That's 600,000. Not a huge number, but in general, that is going to beat a lot of different sports leagues. And yeah, the MLB or NBA with their finals and World Series, well, yeah, they're going to have a larger share in general, but throughout the year, mostly, NASCAR beats them, even with a lot of their big games when they go head-to-head. They beat the NHL. A lot of times they beat college basketball. College football, a little more difficult, same with the NFL, but football is king in America. So I don't see why this is too surprising, as the numbers should pan out over time, and as more jump in, as has been seen at different races this year, well, you're going to see more growth. And there's been plenty of mainstream moments that can draw people into NASCAR. There's 4 major ones that I look at, or at least factors I look at. First off, I see different people, especially YouTubers, who may make a stray video or short about NASCAR that don't normally. And the biggest of these is MrBeast, as I saw he was at the Daytona 500. Not the biggest factor, but it's in the minds of a lot of viewers. You'll also have the Chicago street race. That was a huge deal, and many people thought, wow, NASCAR is coming to the present. Then you got the Hail Melon. That went viral, over 100 million views in about 4 days between TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and the like. And then you also have Garage 56 that I think drew a lot of people in as they start to realize, wow, so NASCAR can have crazy moments. It can have people interested in it that you didn't think so. It can go to places like Chicago and be international and kick ass doing so. In my humble opinion, I would say that those would change a lot of people's perception of NASCAR, which is what they're trying to do. NASCAR has made a lot of heavy efforts, and maybe they're just starting to pay off. And in the last 4 to 5 years, there's been that concerted effort to get Gen Z and just younger people in general to watch the sport, but they're not going to see giant leaps year over year. It's going to be an incremental growth. Yeah, Formula 1 has popped off, but it's nowhere near NASCAR in overall viewership, and based on this, it's about 7% off in the key demo that they're going to want. So there is a lot to be positive about for NASCAR. And what's even better to me is that they can make this better. Like I said, NASCAR in no way has peaked out on this, and in a lot of ways, it has maybe a lot of room to grow. I mean, if you look at this and they jump up 5, 6, 7%, they're jumping well into the top 5 and really only having the NFL and NBA ahead of them. That is something that hasn't been said about NASCAR since about 2015 or so, when it still was the second most popular sport in America. But when you look at how they can improve, there's 3 big ones I want to look at. First off, improve the at-track experience, better Wi-Fi, better amenities, better places to walk around, better seating. Everything needs to be better because NASCAR races in person are the easiest way to convert somebody to be a fan of the sport. Drivers also need to be more active, especially with advertising. Get your personality out there, connect with the brand so people will keep buying it, and maybe have a car that isn't sponsored by 12 to 15 different brands throughout the year, so there is that identity for a fan as well. Kind of like I had with Dale Jr. in the Bud car back in the day, and many had with the DuPont car of Jeff Gordon, GM Goodwrench with Dale Earnhardt, so on and so forth. It might not be the same world as back in the 90s and 2000s, but the same things apply when it comes to connecting with a driver, personality or brand alike. And then just keep experimenting. I think that's what's really helped NASCAR the last couple years, is they try new things, they get out of their comfort zone, and it'll bring in new people, maybe for a few weeks, but if you continuously do that, more people check more often, they're going to become at least casual fans and maybe avid fans. There's plenty of ways that NASCAR can improve, and it's still a very bright future for them, especially with the new TV deal, which is definitely geared towards this younger audience. But that's what I think. What do you think about this poll? Do you think that it's completely off base? Do you think it's a pleasant surprise? Do you think nothing about it and it doesn't matter to you? Just let me know down in the comments below, and tell me, when did you become a NASCAR fan and how long have you been a fan? While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to this channel for more great and fun NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.